Hey folks, welcome to another episode on Podcast Freshly Forever. Today we have here with us the wonderful Dr. Kousalya Nathan, who is a returning guest on the show, and she is a lifestyle and anti-aging expert based out of Chennai, India, with over 2 decades of experience helping clients all over the world transform themselves into a state of robust and vibrant health. Hey, Dr. Kausalya, how are you today?
Yeah, hi Vaidegi. I'm good, thank you. Good to be again back with you on your show.
Well, fantastic.
Thank you for having me over.
Sure. And I guess cognitive health is taking center stage these days. And so that's why we are here to talk about that. So why do you think it's just becoming more and more paramount? And what in general is the role of brain health and its significance when you try to address it from several facets?
Yeah, to start with, I think brain health is a less talked about subject, as we all know. We talk about, different kind of gut health. We talk about, musculoskeletal health, but, there's not much emphasis and importance being given in terms of brain health and neurological well-being. Brain health is crucial because the brain controls everything we do, right? From our breathing to we eat to coordination, whether we do exercise or how we feel, how we move, everything is coordinated by the brain. A healthy brain enables us to learn, to remember, to adapt to new situations, to cope with stress, cope with, environmental changes, everything. So, for example, if you say today, I think how to find out whether we have any cognitive decline. Sometimes we develop or we end up having some poor, brain health because of example struggling to remember things or important information. We forget important information. It becomes very hard to make decisions. We stay confused most of the time, and we feel lost. Some people you experience being lost, or performing daily task itself become difficult for some people. So these are some of the important cognitive decline which we see. Usually it is associated with aging, but unfortunately today there's something called cognitive clouding, which you see in the generation Gen Z, which is, interestingly known as Gen Z, where because of technological, I would say obsession with technology, whether to do with continuously being on the phone or gaming or watching TV or Netflix or their famous shows repeatedly into, because everyone is within them battling a kind of loneliness, and technology is what they seek to. In that space, when too much of this obsession happens, there is definitely a decline in cognitive function, which is called cognitive clouding, which is commonly seen, which is a reversible phenomena. But then, there is a problem which is there where it's affecting the functionality of young boys and girls in that age group between 13 to 23. So that's the major thing. So to have a normal brain function, it is important to take care, understand what it is, and there should be a lot of awareness shows like how we are doing, so that people think about it, take note of it, and use some apps. Like you have apps to remind you of drinking water, right? So it's important for some apps to give an alarm with saying you've been on the phone or gaming for more than 30 minutes. Some alarming, some kind of an pops us to come up to give signals to bring in awareness into their the function of what they have been struggling with.
Sure. That's just, you have brought out several things already there. What about nutrition? Because right there in your, explanation, which was beautiful, you brought out several aspects, one of which I heard you say was nutrition, right? So how critical is nutrition when it comes to optimal brain health?
Yeah. So nutrition is crucial for optimum brain health. Foods like omega-3 fatty acids, antioxidants, and vitamins play a key role. See, there was a study in 2015 in International Journal of Molecular Science, which spoke about the very most important aspect of, anti-inflammatory foods, which is to do with lots of fruits, colored vegetables, and including, omega-3 supplements, or including fish, which is a cold water fish, and having walnuts and nuts, different kind of including nuts in the food, and having fiber. All that really has an important role. But most importantly, we have to understand that body is one. So when I say body is one, for example, if there is a gut issue, it can affect your optimum brain function, which is a very common example which I can quote here, is to do with autism. If you've seen autism kids, the fundamental issue is they would be probably disturbed kids. They'll have anxiety, or there'll be some form of a disturbance where they'll find it difficult to settle. The fundamental issue for them would be the gut. The gut will have umpteen issues when it comes to autism. So that will show in as a behavioral issues outside when you see them, the pattern of it. So it's very important to understand that body is one for an optimum brain function. So it's important to take care of the nutrition, your gut health, and your sleep and everything, so that the brain function or cognitive function is at your best.
Okay. So colorful fruits and vegetables and eating like a lot of whole grains and omega-3 rich foods and all of that. That's a great pointer there. And you already brought out another aspect for me to, just delve into. You said sleep. So how critical then is sleep when it comes to us preserving and protecting our brain health?
Yeah. See, sleep patterns significantly impact cognitive function, with inadequate sleep increasing the risk of cognitive decline. So there's also a lot of research work which talks about sleep patterns and cognitive behavior. So again, sleep pattern, when we talk about, there are basically, to understand, to put it in simple terms, are three steps to sleep, like falling asleep and sustaining sleep, and then having a deep sleep. These are the three basic things which is very important when we talk about quality of sleep. See, all of us hit the sack by around a particular time, 10 p.m, 12 a.m, whatever the late night or whatever it is. But the component of sleep is not complete. It's not a holistic sleep, or it's not a wholesome sleep. The disruptions are quite a bit. Starting again, going back to the technological, I don't know if you rightly said it's a boon or a bad, where I think technology is driving us crazy. So it's also affecting our cognitive function for sure, because even remembering things is becoming very difficult. So we kind of have to put an alarm to wake up. We have to put an alarm to drink water. We'll have to set an alarm to have our medicines on time. We need to set some alarm to kind of call somebody. So we are completely cognitively, I think, partially, and apart from all this, you have chat GPTs, or you have everything is artificial intelligence is catching up in a big way. So somewhere, obviously, our cognitive function is not going to be optimum as we think it to be. But it is very important that awareness is key, and understanding of the sleep pattern is very important. See, I deal with a lot of this Gen Z kids. The question they ask me is, why should we sleep for 8 hours, doctor? I think, don't you think it's a waste of time? We can do so much. We can actually, we can do, we can game, or we can play something, or we can do much more things. And sleeping for 8 hours way too much, and then too long. And even a thought of an 8 hour, they see 8 as a big number to be idealing. So during the day, from morning till evening, they are busy doing something with themselves. It's not like everything they do is productive. And most of them, because of this, even kind of slowly decline. First you see cognitive decline, and the next you see is they lose purpose. So when they lose purpose is the time they have to sort out for some form of, what to say, looking for substance abuse, or looking for some comfort with smoking or vaping or some form of an additional external influence coming into their system is where I think when there is a cognitive decline. If you see such kind of symptoms in your children, whatever age group it may be, I think it's a red flag to attend to, where a child is declining in the performance, academic performance. If a child is having a routine and you see them kind of obsessive about gaming or watching web series or glued to the phone for hours together, I think they need some kind of an professional intervention, because that's the beginning of cognitive clouding or cognitive decline. So it's very important that they understand. So their first symptom would be unable to fall asleep, because the brain whole day has been going through so much of an flips and changes that they have difficulty falling asleep. So difficulty
Basically, it's
falling asleep
clouded.
is the first sign. Clouded, exactly. That's why it's called cognitive clouding. So they feel clouded, they feel fogged, and they can't fall asleep. One. And then there are few children, and then probably young adults, they fear sleep. So they fear sleep, meaning like going to bed is difficult, fall is very difficult. So they fear that sleep factor. Oh, why is night setting in? Why the days can be longer? Because they feel everything is dark, lonely, they're not able to sleep. And when you can't sleep, I think the mind is active again to kind of, combat that loneliness. They again go back to gaming and watching, whatever, repetitive series or web series and movies or things like that. So what I'm trying to tell you is education is very important, awareness is very important, and family trying to help each other, one another, is again primarily important. And helping them having a discipline or a routine is very, very important. So quality of sleep matters a lot when it comes to brain health, and sleep is the fundamental thing. And if there is any alteration in the sleep pattern for consistently for over 6 weeks, I think it's important that we really address it on a professional way.
Okay, great. What about, say, if there is one nugget, then people would have to kind of, follow? What would that be? Would that be, say, 6 to 8 hours of sleep in a day is a must? Or in addition to that, put your devices as far as you can away from your bedroom so that, you're not disturbed by the blue light. You're not tempted to even see it. So what would that be?
I think that varies from individual. I think we should sit with the children if it is true with the children, and then find out a way of doing it. Or I think some of us, maybe grown up adults, can actually have our own routine of it. For example, I'll tell you what I do. I think for me, I 1 to 1.5 hours before bedtime, I completely switch off from all the devices. But I do watch some TV, which would be more to do with something lighter of my passion. It could be something to do with some quilling, or it can be some origami, or I might watch something to do with cooking, something probably I would want to try tomorrow, the next day, or some interesting healthy recipes which interest me. So it really soothes me from within. So I don't get obsessed with it, and I would just take only 30 minutes. I would switch off immediately after 30 minutes, and I put my phone on flight mode when I go to bed. I think thank God I'm not into emergency medicine, so I'm not expecting any emergency calls. So even if it is so, people know me, they know ways to reach out to me. It's not like every night we are expecting some emergency. So that way, I think I try to kind of do it in such a way where it really helps me to mentally stay off a mobile phone. So each one of us, as you said, I think some of you can actually put your phone away, or your laptop and iPad away from your bedroom, put it in a nowadays they create workspace, and every house has a workspace. So leave it in the workspace, so you know that mentally you're done for the day, and that's closing. And again, to do with, we should also learn to close our phones. I think somewhere we shut everything else, but I think phone we don't shut at all. So that's very important. And as you had asked whether it's 6 hours or 8 hours is mandate, again it varies, but at least a minimum of 6 hours is mandatory for all age groups. Minimum 6 hours is a must. So for example, if I have to talk about myself, for me, I can be functional only if I get 8 hours of sleep. So for me, people make fun of me that I don't socialize much or I don't go out much, but I think that's okay because my body can only take so much. So I'm fine with it. So maybe I keep it to weekends to meet people, but then 9 o'clock, I don't want to, step out after 9 p.m. or I don't want to socialize much after 9 p.m. because coming back at 12 midnight and then unwinding, I think it affects my health or my productivity. So it's my personal calling. So each one of us have our own way of, doing things, but this has worked. And if you recollect, Vaidehi, I think we have grown up together, in a small town in India. And I think you would agree with me that, don't you think the discipline, whether you kind of have a board exam tomorrow or not, whatever, big examinations or important vital things to do, lights off and everybody is home at around 8:30. That's it. Whether you, what you want to do, you do before it. That's it. Because in one room, we used to have our brothers, sisters, and the parents, all of us sharing, one or two rooms. And I think we can't be disturbing everybody. Thing. So lights off by maximum 9 p.m. is what I recollect, So morning waking up 4:30 was encouraged. It was okay. Even you want to get up at 4, it was a welcome thing. But going to bed at night was maximum, 9 p.m., stretch. So that was the thing, right? We grew up like that. Probably that growing up habits has made some kind of a system in us, which is bringing it out. But each one of us have our own ways. But minimum, I would say, give your body at least 6 hours of rest and sleep at night, and go to bed at least by 10:30. Don't stretch it to 12, 1, 2, 3, and then 4. I think, unfortunately, body doesn't understand such things. Body clearly wants that kind of it's a time where it recuperates, it rejuvenates, it has to cope with so many things. That's the time, you're growing, you are recovering, you're healing. Everything happens when you're resting. So I think body unfortunately doesn't understand that I'll sleep at 12 a.m., I'll wake up at 8 a.m., so I still got that timing and then it will function that way. No, it doesn't, because a lot of hormones also play a major role, like melatonin, testosterone in men, and estrogen secretions, and then growth hormones, all that, thyroid when you wake up in the morning. All this also has a biological clock, as we say it, which is set, which, just because we are capable of inventing artificial intelligence, unfortunately body cannot immediately get up one day, oh my god, world has changed, and probably I should also kind of work in a very fun way or a different way or a crazy way. But it unfortunately doesn't work. So fundamentals remain. Science may be evolving, science may be growing, we may have a number of publications, we may be using advancements in technology, but fundamentals will remain. So sleep has to be only at night, and it has to be in a period of 6 to 8 hours if you want optimum cognitive function.
Well, fantastic. Right there, you brought out circadian rhythm when you took us back to our growing up days, right? Lights out at like 9, and then wake up, along with the rising of the sun, even before that. That way, you give your body the chance to, because that way, your brain is wired that way. It's looking for certain things. Brain does not understand that, hey, you know what? Yeah, the longer you're on your device, yes, the blue light is like kind of keeping you awake, and it's just fogging and clouding you, like you said. So all that is beautifully you pointed it out there. What about yet another pillar that's important to cognitive health, the role of exercise for optimal brain function? And are there certain exercises that are more beneficial than others?
Yeah, true. It's a good question. See, exercise promotes brain health. It increases blood flow and stimulates the release of neurotransmitters. So we know about the neurotransmitters like serotonin and endorphins and all those. I call them good news transmitters. So the whole thing of such neurochemicals in the brain gets activated when you exercise. So that really is a very beautiful phenomena for improving brain health. So if you feel depressed, if you exercise, you will feel better. If you feel happy, or if you have excess energy in your body, if you exercise, you're going to feel better. So if you want to improve your concentration, you have to exercise. Exercise can be in the form of playing games or any kind of outdoor sports, or it can be even to do with any gymming or stretches or yoga, or any form of light or strenuous exercise, depending on individuals interest, I would say, passion, interest, or comfort, whatever it may be. But moving your body is very important, because today exercise, though there is awareness, people put that as a backseat for multiple reasons. Sometimes, yes, certain reasons are very valuable, though, but it actually affects the brain function. So it's important to encourage physical activity, group activity, trekking, swimming, any form of sports activity, to really help with good brain function. There's a lot of research findings, especially in the journal Neurology. Recently, they very clearly published that if an individual is unable to exercise or keep physically fit, I think their cognitive function in the brain declines considerably by 4 to 5 years. So, like, the premature aging of the brain happens if we fail to give importance to movement or exercise.
Okay, fantastic. Is there one that's more beneficial than the other? And in terms of, say, you also brought out premature aging. So for us to kind of arrest that process, or kind of delay it, or in other words, maybe we can also view it this way, right? Improving memory, concentration, and overall brain function. Are there specific activities that you would recommend as we age?
Yeah, definitely. I think some of them would be to, stick on to some of the hobbies that you'd have learned, or learn a hobby. So that can be painting, or it can be a paper folding, or it can be origami, or cooking, or anything of your choice. Quilling, quilting, anything which interests you. I think you should get into some hobbies. That's one thing. Create time for it. It should be on a weekly basis. See, when it comes to brain, one trick I can tell you is consistency is the key. So you can even do it for 15 minutes in a day. It can be reading books. It can be anything of your choice. It can be solving puzzles or Sudoku, or reading a story, or anything of your interest. But it should be a consistent thing. For example, if you choose weekly once to play badminton, you should stick to it. It can be weekly once, that's fine. Brain loves discipline. Brain really loves a formula. Brain is more, like, it's a very beautiful thing which can be regulated. So that's something which we have to understand. So hobby is an interesting thing that you can start on to prevent. And yoga, meditation, I think, which comes coming from the Indian background, I must tell you that there's so much of publications on reducing stress in people for preventing any brain cognitive decline. So meditation plays an important role. It helps in calming our mind, improving memory, improving cognitive function. It makes you from within emotionally also stronger. So I think these things are important. And as I said earlier, I think consistency is what will make our brain function optimum.
Okay, great news there that we can program and wire our brains to function optimally as long as, we stick to a regimented approach, right? So it's almost like, okay, nothing is beyond control. We can contribute to our own well-being by doing certain things in a very regimented fashion, in a very regulated fashion, like you pointed out there. And then, so the next thing that makes me more curious when it comes to brain health is we all use this word very loosely or very liberally, right? It's called stress. Everyone says that word. And what about that and the role of or the beating that mental health is taking these days? Because um, managing stress
Yeah.
or better brain health and improved cognitive function. So, what's your take on that, Dr. Kausalya?
I think chronic stress is the dangerous thing to the brain. Stress kills the brain function. As we all would have experienced, when we are under stress, we forget even simple things. It could be like switching off lights, or it could be switching off the burner in the in the kitchen, or anything switching off. So it can be like, it's a very dangerous thing. Stress really kind of decline the optimal function, cognitive function of the brain. So chronic stress, on the other hand, again, over a period can actually disturb the normal functioning of the brain by maybe decreasing the neurotransmitters, and you may feel low, anxiety, or may feel like excessive sweating, chest pain, or memory loss. You feel difficulty, to have sustained sleep, anger, frustration, emotional upheavals, and then you want to cry, feeling emotionally low, or sensitive to environment, people, and a negative mental attitude towards life, for self, no purpose or no direction, lack of purpose and direction. So all these can happen with chronic stress. So that's the reason where you see self-harming behaviors, and depression being very alarmingly on a higher rate these days. So it's very important that we when we experience stress, and if it is going on a chronic or on a prolonged phase, it's important to accept and take help. I think problem happens most of the time that we refuse to accept. We take a long time, and only the day we become non-functional or really it affects our productivity, that's the time we really wake up and say, "Hi, what's happening to me?" types. But it's very important that we be aware of what's happening with our cognitive function, and if there is a decline which is affecting your functionality, take professional help. You can talk to a counselor, you can talk to a friend, you can go to a psychiatrist, or you can even consult a yoga doctor or a physician to know how you can come out of these kind of chronic stress. The stress can be in the form of mental stress, can be emotional stress, and these days what we see is called spiritual stress. You'll be surprised, because here spirituality also has got a very different set of work, where people adopt or they join different spiritual groups, and when a group of people who are suffering or having some mental health issue come together on a spiritual group, I think they are not able to understand the deeper spiritual messages, so they confuse even further, and that affects their health in a very, it backfires. So even to have a spiritual health, you have to be in a plane of receiving. So when you're not in a plane of receiving, so when you go attach yourself to different groups, it backfires and you go into a kind of depression or emotional confusions, and heaviness. So it really affects the overall brain health. So it's important
Probably
to,
you also go into, I mean, one message there I heard was, yes, not being in denial all the time and just
yeah.
realizing that there is a need for help and seeking help. And the second one is, even from like a spiritual plane, you're saying for everything, we need to have the right state of mind to be able to receive. Otherwise, say spiritually, we can go into like an obsessive mode. Is that like a right?
Yes, true, correct. You go into an obsessive mode, and I think it puts you into an backtracking your personality per se, and sometimes the deeper issues of psychological issues flare up. The personality and deeper functional issues of psychiatric disturbances, mental health disturbs, and it flares up with
And also this
very awkward.
Yeah. Also, this technology misuse also contributes to like
Oh
mental
yes,
issues, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
Mhm.
Technology is affecting mental health in a big way. So I think if you notice, without our knowledge, if you go on Instagram, without our knowledge, we would be spending hours together. Even for adults, even for us, with so much of awareness, we would. It actually sucks us into that kind of an track
Environment.
where. So the whole technological speed at which we want to grab everything, we want to know it all, we want all information, we want to see all the saris which is coming on the different pages, we want to know everything, fashion, everything, we want to see it all before we choose. So it was not like we're not happy from within, so there's always more. Oh, maybe the next is better, maybe the other one is better. So the mind is constantly being kept wired, and then tightened to a strong level where I think it's finding it difficult to be optimally functional or cognitively optimum on a regular basis, or in anything we do. It does affect our work life as well.
And yeah, right there you pointed out, yeah, there are some ways on social media apps to kind of disengage yourself by setting yourself like an alarm there or a reminder there that, hey, like set yourself time limits, so to speak. That's the best thing. And I do that personally on Instagram. I've set myself a 15-minute time limit. So it's
Oh,
almost like
great,
my,
that's
my
good.
app reminds me that, hey, you know what, you have exceeded your limit for the day. And every time I just log out of it when I come out. So every time, as in, I do it once in the morning, once at night. And it's not meant to be 15 minutes for every visit. It's meant to be 15 minutes for the entire day. That's kind of how I try to limit
Oh,
myself.
that's
Like you said,
excellent.
like you
That's
said, it can be
excellent.
very,
No,
very,
that's super good.
it's intoxicating almost to kind of, just be in there forever. Like you said, be it fashion, be it any other, accessory, anything else that's, like gadgets, whatever it might be, or even cooking, cooking or any other hobby that you have, it can be so enticing to stay on. Awesome, Dr. Kousalya. So we were just talking about all the aspects of brain function, like how we improve concentration, what we do in terms of exercise, and so on and so forth, right? What about the connection between social engagement and cognitive well-being in terms of, say, mental health has taken such a beating these days? So what are the research indications in terms of say the connection between social engagement and I guess meaningful relationships are like a big question mark these days. So, and about all of that, your
Yeah.
take on that.
Yeah, sure. I think social relationship has become a huge challenge these days because of the relationship with social media. Because the social media is predominantly has become the attention spot. When it comes to whether it's a wedding anniversary or it's a birthday or it's going to be a pre-wedding affair. So it's all a big affair here. So I think it's like explode in the internet, in the social media platform. So the finer things of interpersonal relationship, social engagement has considerably reduced over a period of time, and that's a very challenging situation. That's the reason where you see even here in India, the rate at which the divorces are happening in a relationship is alarmingly high. because of the lack of time, lack of the space to understand one another. So that's becoming a very challenging part for generations, and the next generation now is suffering even with having a boyfriend or engaging with the parents, or any kind of social engagement is becoming a more a kind of an affair which is not as enjoyed as it used to be before. So that's definitely taking a toll on mental health, emotional health, and social health and well-being. There is enough statistics to say that social well-being is a very big factor influencing longevity. So there's a lot of studies saying that you live well, you live long if you are socially connected and you have a good social life. So it is time that we really make a conscious effort, because without our knowledge we get stuck with the real world. So it is important that we bring some awareness, and then some through education or through motivation, or creating games, or creating an interesting platform to interact with each other when we meet. It could be pot lunch, where you bring different kind, everyone brings food from their respective home and you share. So, or it could be some form of games when you meet, or a concept of discussion of where it make the engagement is more meaningful and interesting. It's very important to keep the engagement interesting. So I think a conscious effort in that field is very important, starting from the family, because we always make fun. If the Wi-Fi is off, all of us come out of the how the respective bedrooms to greet each other to find out what happened. Otherwise, nobody knows what we are in our respective bedrooms, busy with our phones or mobiles or laptops or whatever we engaged in. So it's important to make a conscious, aware decision, at least to spend weekends with family, friends, involved in some social interactive club activities. It can be within the university campuses for children and undergrads, or it can be in the respective workspaces in people who are, in working age group. So it's very important to sustain a good interaction between individuals, starting from home till even after retirement.
Oh, wonderful. Actually, you talked about longevity there. So, sustenance of life in every aspect. So, I guess that revolves a lot around this pillar of mental health and this cognitive well being these days. So, so beautifully highlighted there in terms of nutrition, sleep, um, exercise, fitness, how we improve memory, the social engagement aspect, stress and mental health, and all the pillars that we can potentially talk about in terms of cognitive health. Dr. Kausalya, why don't you tell our listeners where they can find you, how they can get in touch with you and take advantage of your beautiful services and all the professional help that you offer.
Yeah, so they can connect to us through Instagram platform. That's Dr. Kousalya Nathan Kalm, Kalm. So it's DrKousalya and KALM Calm is the Instagram profile. And we also have a YouTube channel, Dr. Kousalya Nathan Calm, the same Dr. KOUSALYA. KALM in capitals is the YouTube channel as well. So they can connect or message us on either of these platforms, and we'll be very happy to address their queries.
Okay. And any website, anything that you would like to add here for the benefit of listeners?
Yeah. So www.kausalyanathan.com is the website. And maybe once they Google us, they will get our address and everything as well. It's easily available with the name.
So thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today about all of this, and such an important pillar, I guess, for sustenance of our life. Well-being certainly is a major, major parameter. Thank you once again for taking time to talk to us today.
Thank you, Vaidegi, for having me over in your show. It was such a joy interacting with you.
Well,
Thank you
we
once
look
again.
forward to having many more conversations in the future.
Sure.
Listeners, as always, follow the podcast, rate the podcast, and leave a review from your podcast app of choice. Follow me on Instagram and YouTube at YP Kumar. That's VAIPKUMAR for all things digital media and lifestyle. Until next time, with yet another interesting guest and yet another interesting topic, it's me, bye, with the wonderful Dr. Kousalya Nathan saying so long.